Hello, farmers, and welcome to another episode of The Harvest Season. My name is Al.
And my name is Aislinn.
And we're here today to talk about frog games.
Woo!
Transcripts are available on the show notes and on the website, as always. Welcome, Aislinn. Welcome back, I should say. Your second time on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Good to have you. I've brought Aislinn on the pod to talk about Kamaeru. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Kamaeru. Gosh, I'm gonna withhold. I have many opinions about this game.
We'll get to that. It's important. We need to get through the process.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to talk about. I personally haven't played Kamaeru, but Aislinn has. So we're going to talk about that later on. Before that, we obviously have some news. I should note this is the last episode that has news for the next 3 episodes, because this is the last one before I go away for a wee while. So the next 3 episodes won't have news. They will be our special. Do I announce it? Yeah, let's announce it now. Next week, we will be starting off Dave the Diver month. So that is a full month focusing on Dave the Diver. So I'm very excited for people to hear what we've got cooked up. I hope I'm not overdoing it and we're not completely over focusing on a game. But when I had this idea, I thought it was fantastic. So stay tuned for 4 episodes of Dave the Diver starting next week.
Honestly, this sounds wonderful. It sounds perfect.
Have you played that game?
I have not, but also it just sounds wonderful to have something like that just for holiday in general, and just have something focused on one game. It sounds nice. Sounds like a nice change of pace.
Last year we did Fishing Month, so we had 4 episodes on fishing and various different things. There was a debate on the best fishing mini game. I think we covered Dredge, which is not our usual kind of game, and stuff like that. And yeah, this year is Dave the Diver Month, so coming soon. But that's not what we're talking about just now. Before we get into the news on Kamaeru, Aislinn, what have you been up to?
Melting, because it's just really, it's genuinely, I feel like it's been an endless just heat wave here in New York. It's just so hot all of the time. My cat is melting. I'm melting. Everything is melting. It's just hot, 90 degrees. What is that in Celsius? I don't know. It's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's humid and it's just hot.
32.
That's hot.
Yeah.
Sun blazing, just melting. But otherwise, to talk about gaming wise, what I've been up to, not as much as I would like to be up to with gaming, just because life has been busy as well in general, between work and just other obligations in life in general. But when I am playing a game, I've been now currently cycling through Magical Delicacy, which just came out recently.
What is that?
It is a platformer game with witches and cooking. And actually, it might be a nice game to talk about on this podcast as well at some point, because it's also an accessibility game. So it's it's not necessarily, I don't know if I would consider it a cottagecore game, but there is cooking, there is decorating.
Look, we shoehorn in all kinds of games.
But it just came out, and I've played a couple hours of it so far, and it's really cute. It's really fun. But I've been playing a little bit of that. I've been playing Spider-Man 2, which is a completely different game for Magical Delicacy. I've been playing. So good so far. So good so far. I've also been playing.
I love how they did. Because did you play the other 2?
I did. I'm playing the entire series all the way through, back to back to back.
Nice. That's a lot to go through.
It is, but I'm having such a good time.
I played them when they came out, so I played the Marvel Spider-Man, and I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. And then when Miles Morales came out, I was like, this is so great. It's better because you have the extra powers, and personally I thought it was a more compact game. People were like, oh, it's too short, and I'm like, no, it's not too short, it's perfect.
It was perfect. It was honestly perfect. Maybe it's a little bit short for its price, But like, as someone that didn't pay for it and had no frame of concept of what it costs, I had a great
buy these
time.
things and sell them secondhand, right? Like that's what I do, right? I did that for all 3 Spider-Man games. I've bought them and then sold them like 3 weeks later when I finished and got like 80% of the cost back. It's perfect. And then someone else gets it slightly cheaper. You know, it's a win-win.
That's true. That's very true.
But what I found really interesting was I was wondering how they were going to make Spider-Man 2 not just make you want to be Miles all the time, because Miles was, before Spider-Man 2, objectively the better Spider-Man to play as.
Oh my god,
because
yes.
he has all of the powers and more. And so I was like, how are they going to make you not want, how do they make you want to be Peter Parker? And they figured it out with the Venom stuff, and it was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
I think
it's so
good.
cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, and also the, you know, adding in the other, like, you know, the gliding and the you can also like surf on the water a little bit as well, like stuff like that, just made it so much more fun.
Yeah, definitely. The only complaint I have about that game so far is like on the map itself, I wish like things were marked down, like all of the side quests and everything. I wish you didn't have, I know they want you to explore everything, but I'm like, can you just mark it down anyway so I have things to go towards? Because that's the thing that kind of gets me with open world games sometimes, is I get lost.
Do you mean like how they build it up slowly? Because it's like it starts off with like, oh, you've got, I get why they do that, right? Because it's a lot, it would be overwhelming, I think, if you had too much all at once.
I don't mind, but yeah, that's just me.
It does feel a little bit like, oh, and now, you know, I'm 10 hours into the game and I'm just unlocking a whole new series of quests, sort of thing.
Yeah. That's my like only complaint, but that's just a me thing more than anything.
Fair. I think that's hard to solve, but I get the issue.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise, in addition to Spider-Man 2 Magical Delicacy, also surprisingly playing Wuthering Waves, which is that gacha game, but I haven't spent any money so far, which I'm very proud of myself, because I know it's like the game that you spend money on, but I'm such a slow gamer that it's been great, because this is another just like casual combat game, which I'm into. But then I've also obviously been playing Kamaeru, and I've been replaying Coffee Talk as well, as like just a nice wind down game. Makes me very sleepy, which is perfect before bed.
I feel like you have a very specific look of games that you're, other than Spider-Man 2, a very specific look of games that you're playing just now.
In what way?
Well, just when you look at Magical Delicacy and Kamaeru and Coffee Talk, and even not so much Wuthering Waves. I guess it's just those 3. Like just their style, their art styles, and their vibes all feel very similar.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I didn't think I was for like the longest time, and then within the past like year, I've definitely realized that aesthetically and vibe wise, I am very picky about my games in that sense, and all 3 of those games fit that good soundtrack and nice aesthetic. Like if a game doesn't look good, I realize that I'm not like a huge fan of it. Like personally, even though I know, and this is hot water that I'm treading into, but I know a lot of people love Baldur's Gate. I don't think I'm ever going to play Baldur's Gate because I don't like how it looks. It's not my favorite aesthetic. So hot take, but I unfortunately am a sucker for aesthetics. So
I think anybody who says they don't care how their games look is lying to you.
Yeah.
It's just that people have different preferences, right?
Yeah.
And they like, because I care how my games look, right? Like there are games that I've seen come out that have like been like, you know, PS3 style graphics, like they're trying to recreate that vibe, and I don't like how they look.
Yeah.
You know, but equally, the more 3D Pokemon games people have generally not liked the look of, and I've quite liked them. I mean, it's not like Scarlet and Violet is the most good looking game, but I'm just not bothered by it. And specifically, I really like how Pokemon Legends look. I actively like how that game looks, even though some people really dislike it. So yeah, I think it's a lie to say you don't care how games look, but it's a way that people describe the fact that we have different preferences. And so people will be like, oh, I don't care about graphics, and it's like, no, you do. It's just what your preferences are different from other people. So when you see a game that you like and other people call it bad, you're like, oh, clearly that means I don't care about graphics. It's like, no, you just like what other people don't, and that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I 1000% agree. I could not agree. I could could agree more. I don't know what the phrase is, but I think you know what I mean.
You couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. English is hard.
Cool. Well, I haven't been playing a lot. You said you've not been playing a lot, and then you mentioned 5 games.
It's been sporadic, though.
I haven't been playing a lot because I've spent most of my time podcasting because I've been, recording 6 episodes in 2.5 weeks.
Oh, my God.
To get ready to go away. Obviously, I finished up Dave the Diver for the Dave the Diver episodes. I managed to finish that story. So tune in next week to find out my first thoughts on Dave the Diver.
Ooh.
But I have picked up, for a very short period of time so far, I haven't played much of it, but I've just picked up Chicken Journey, which is a 2D chicken platforming RPG.
It looks so... Actually, I think this is on my wish list. It looks so cute.
Yeah. I was on sale in the was it the summer sale? I don't know. I lose track.
Probably.
Whatever the most recent sale was on Steam, and it's been on my list for a while. And I saw that it's about 10 hours to complete, so I was like, that feels like a good. I guess go for that then.
Nice,
so,
very nice. How much of
that will probably be my holiday game.
I was going to say, how much of it have you played thus far?
About half an hour.
Okay, all right. So not much of a first
really
first
not
look.
much.
Got it.
But I've played enough to know that I don't dislike the controls, which is always a good start.
That's a huge plus, honestly.
And the game looks like what you expect based on the materials. So I'm not seeing any false advertising. So we'll see how the platforming challenges are and what the kind of story is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it from you, definitely, because it is, I did confirm it is on my wish list, so to get your take would be fantastic.
Nice. I will mention it at some point, I'm sure.
Awesome.
Well, that's what we've been playing.
Woo!
We're going to talk about some game news. There's not a lot, and mainly that's because we're recording quite early. So if something happens in the last week when this comes out, that's because we didn't mention it because we've already recorded. Soz. So the first news is that Farlands have announced their early access is coming on the 24th of July. For people who don't remember, because I talk about too many games, this is a 2D pixel art farming game in space. Yeah, I don't think there's a huge amount to say. They've announced their early access.
Yeah. I mean, I you know my take on pretty much all the game news is that I have never seen this game before. But it
Aislinn literally wrote that next to every single news.
I actually copied and pasted
it. First time seeing this game.
I literally copied and pasted it. I was like, oh, I haven't seen any of these games. It looks like a space Stardew.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I don't. It's not like I think this game looks bad. There's nothing about it that excites me in particular. But different people, etc.
Yeah.
So if you want a
niche.
Space Stardew, this is one of the many options that are coming out in the next few months.
And you know my take about another farming sim in my life. I don't have time. But I appreciate it for what it is. I do appreciate it for what it is. And if that was filling the niche for me, I would be stoked about it.
Yeah. Fair enough. GoGo Town have released more information about their roadmap. So listeners will know what this game is because we covered it a couple weeks ago. I played it. It's in early access. My summary, Aislinn, because you want to listen to that episode, is it's an early access, but not one of the buggy early accesses. One of the early accesses that just feels like it's missing a lot of content. So I think this will be really good to play once it's further down the line. But I feel like after kind of 6 or 7 hours, was it 10 hours, something like that I played of it. I feel like I've gotten everything I can out of it just now. But I have very much enjoyed playing it.
I mean, considering 6 or 7 hours and you feel that way already, that's pretty good. But that's unfortunate. That's like the early access is lack of content. But I much rather that than it being a buggy game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always been my feeling, because like there's a few others that I've played in that similar vein, like Ooblets and Coral Island. They were both similar, where the game did not feel buggy at all. It just felt unfinished, and there was a lot of missing content. And all of them I've come back to at 1.0 and had a great time again. And I never feel bad about them, right? Because I go into them knowing they're early access. And actually, I would much rather that than here's a game where everything exists, but it's going to crash every 5 minutes. You know?
Yeah, no, I much rather that. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. But yeah, the Go-Go Town game, for what again, first time seeing the game, so all I know is what I've seen on like the Steam page store for the most part. But it does look like a whole bunch of fun. So when it is fully fleshed out, it looks like there's a lot of things that, like a lot of time that you could sink into the game.
Yeah, definitely. And you can ride a unicorn tricycle. So you
can high five a cow. I saw that and I was like, woo! I was like ready. There was hype. It's so cute.
So they've updated their roadmap a little bit. There's an update coming out pretty much just when this comes out, with some more updates to their worker AIs. A lot of this game, Aislinn, is about kind of getting people to your town and telling them to do, like you give them jobs to do. And so they do the things that you were doing, they automate them and stuff like that. So there's obviously some bugs within that, because that's a very complicated thing to do.
Yeah.
So they've got a bunch of updates coming for fixing of that. And then they've announced that their first major update is going to come mid-August.
Nice. Soon.
And that includes, it's mostly kind of like quality of life improvements, and they had said, I think they're going to expand the map and stuff like that, which was kind of one of the biggest things that I had noticed about the game, was it felt quite small experience wise, which is good that they're focusing on what people are feeling are the things they would like to improve quickest.
And that's the beauty of more indie games in general, is like you're able to have that community and have that communication, which is very nice, very refreshing.
Garden Witch Life have released a new trailer. I feel like the name tells you everything about what this game is, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Garden Witch Life. It's a life sim where you're a witch and you're farming. Yeah.
Yep. That's what I took away from looking at the game as well. And that little guy.
They've released a new trailer with some kind of hints towards the story, they've not got a release date yet, but they are still saying that it's releasing this year. So if they're saying that in July, I'm feeling reasonably confident about that.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, I think I would agree. I wish I could. I realize now that I was so excited about that little guy, but this is an audio only podcast, so that doesn't make any sense. But just know that there is, on specifically the Steam page, if you go to the Steam page and you go to the decorate section, on that little bed, there's a little guy right there. That's very cute. I mean, there's a bunch of little guys, but there's specifically a little guy there, and he's real good.
Yeah, he is. He's a little guy.
He's a little guy.
And he's following the theme of frogs.
He is.
This episode. So, little frog guy.
That's my take on Garden Witch Life. 10 out of 10, because a little guy.
We also have a small update about Lens Island. So I think we talked about the game modes update last week. That is now out, and they've released the entire patch notes. I don't think there was anything big that I saw in there that we hadn't already talked about. Basically, Aislinn, this update is about adding new game modes and changes in difficulty, but not just like easy, hard, medium sort of thing, but they've got so many different options, right? Like you can turn on permadeath or turn it off. You can change what happens to your bag when you die, whether it stays with you, whether it drops, or whether it's destroyed. They've got it's like 30 or 40 different updates in different settings for the difficulty, which is really cool.
Woo, that's nice. That's awesome. It's a game that's also, I think, on my wish list, but I just have not gotten around to playing it. But good to know that there's going to be even more options when and if I am able to get around to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to encourage you to play it right now because their 1.0 comes out in like 2 months. So
We'll revisit in 2 months then.
I'm worse than you. It's not on my wish list. I own the game and I haven't played it yet.
Oh,
so, that's not quite true. Well, part of the problem is that I might have a problem in kickstarting games, and this was one of the ones I kickstarted. So obviously I got the code for them. Technically, I have opened the game. But I opened the game on my Steam Deck and I went to play it and realised they didn't have controller support when the first version came out. And I went, I'm not going to do this just now then. It has now been, I think been 2 years since they added controller support, but I've still not played it yet.
when you get to it is when you get to it.
Exactly. So at this point, I'm waiting for 1.0 and then I'll be all in.
2 months.
Yes, well, I'm away for the next month anyway, so.
It's true.
July has been a very busy with games. There were so many games that released in July. It was a little bit stressful. Go-Go Town being one of them. Thanks, guys. That's the game news. We also have a new game, Wind Story. So this, I'll just, as I always do, read the little blurb about this one. Wind Story is a simulation game. Players can immerse themselves in rural lifestyles, including farming, breeding, and fishing. During the day, they can freely roam the ranch's flower fields, while at night, they can enjoy drinking and dancing by the lakeside bonfire. So, I mean, it's a farming life sim, right?
Again, I don't have time. But the game looks really nice. I really like the colors, and I am a sucker for the Octopath art style. Was it 2D HD? Is that what they're calling it? Where it's like your kind of good question.
Pixel art. I think that's what they call it. Is that like a trademark or something?
Even though I said I like the art style because it's Octopath, I've never played Octopath in my life, but I've seen friends play Octopath, and I appreciate the music and I appreciate the art style. But I don't know anything about the game.
You can like how something looks. So Wikipedia says it's an HD 2D, not 2D HD.
Okay.
HD 2D.
HD 2D, okay.
So, yeah, I have mixed feelings about that style of game. Like, I know it's trying to do it's trying to be like kind of 2D RPGs were in the past, but try and make them more modern. Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to do that style of game, you either do this or you do just standard 2D pixel art. There's something about the characters on the background, they never quite fit properly, and I'm not a huge fan of any of this style of graphics. I think that's a me thing. I just feel like they stand out badly against the background,
I mean, yeah, I feel like the Octopath art style, I feel like it's very divisive. It's either you like it or you don't. Mm-hmm. Like, I've definitely heard your take of just not being super stoked about it, but I've also heard people that will die on a hill and say it's amazing. So again, like you were saying in the beginning, the aesthetics, it's a preference.
Yeah. It's not even just like because I'm trying to figure out whether it's because obviously the character models are like flat, kind of like Paper Mario, but the reason that I prefer how Paper Mario looks is because like everything looks like that, whereas this is just the character on a otherwise high definition 3D world, and there's something about that just doesn't. What's the opposite of tickling your brain? It like stabbing my brain. I don't know. My brain
so
does not like it.
Smushing? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Smushing my brain. That sounds worse.
That does sound worse. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Fair.
Some people will love how this looks, and that's good. But this game is coming soon, and that blurb that I gave you is most of what we know. There's some more kind of description, and there's a bunch of screenshots if you want to look on the Steam page, but there's not a huge amount more. Yeah, I've got nothing else to add with that. I think it looks okay, you think it looks and that's just how it be. That is how it be. However, a game that we both think looks great. However, I haven't played it yet. Is Kamaeru. So we are going to talk about Kamaeru, a Frog Refuge. From someone who hasn't played this, I guess I would describe this as looking like Usagi-shima but frogs. Would you say that's a fair description?
I have to look up what you just said.
Oh, you've not played Usagi-shima?
No.
Oh no. Where
Oh
have
yeah,
you
yeah.
been?
No, I do know this. Yeah, it is. It
Bunny
is.
game.
Yep. No, I've heard of. You know what it is? I never played it because I have a friend that I knew would love this game, and I was like, I'm gonna let her have it and have her moment because I feel like this is a game suited for her because her whole branding is rabbit. So I'm like, I'm gonna let her have her moment. But I've seen this game, very cute, and I think from what I know about this game, yes, it's very similar. It is, instead of it being a bunny collecting game, a frog collecting game.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, I personally, when I've seen it, I've liked the look of it. I've seen you stream it a little bit, because if people don't know, Aislinn is a streamer, a very good streamer, very fun streamer.
Thank you.
Doing mostly cozy games would be a fair way to describe it. You don't discriminate on your cozy games. You just do whatever you're enjoying.
Yeah, pretty much. It's whatever, and it happens to usually be cozy. But I'm open to anything as long as I'm having a good time at the end of the day.
Yeah. Fair enough. Cool. Well, I'll hand it off to you to start off with then. Tell me about this game. You've gotten into it. What's it like?
All right. Well, first of all, buckle in. Because when
it's time for essay.
It's time. I love this game. Just to preface it, so I am definitely very biased in the sense that I will give this game all of the praise in the world, because I love this game. I've met the developers, and everything from beginning to end has been a wonderful experience with this game. So I'm very biased in the positive end of this game. But what Kamaeru is, from the website, Kamaeru is a cozy farming sim game in which you breed and collect frogs, decorate your refuge, and restore wetlands in order to grow food and other resources. There's also, like, from the Steam page as well, it mentions, with the help of the game's cast of welcoming NPCs, you will photograph and breed frogs to increase your reputation, decorate your frog refuge, and plant native crops to help your amphibian abode thrive. And pretty much the gameplay loop of the game is collecting frogs, whether you are feeding them, you're breeding them, you are taking photos of them. You can collect 500 plus frogs and add them to your Frogadex. 500 plus.
So many frogs.
It's so good.
I always find it funny when they say 500 plus. It's like, how many more plus?
I think it's like, I'm not going to lie, I think it's like 5. I have the number 512 in my head, and I don't know if that's correct or not.
I just feel like, just put the number.
Yeah, right?
Like 500 plus, just put the number, right?
Yeah, I agree. But, you gotta make it look enticing by saying plus.
But, like, I feel like most people would probably look at that and go, oh, so like 501 then. Like, whereas if it was like much more than that, you would put the number, right? Like, if it was 590, you wouldn't say 500 plus, you'd say nearly 600.
True. It's like people when they say, like, oh, a couple. That could mean multiple different things to different people. So
yeah, classic.
I think it's like 512. I'm pretty sure it's less than 550 though. So I'll say somewhere within
500 is a lot,
that
no matter
range.
how many exactly.
True.
It's 500 plus.
And they're all adorable, all so cute. And I love that it's called the Frogadex. I think that is so adorable.
Classic.
Yeah, it's real good. You collect the frogs. 500 plus frogs.
500 plus.
Just so you know. You restore the wetlands, which is one of my favorite things, I think, by far about this game, is that there is it's definitely by no means, there's not a lot of, it's not super in depth in regards to like learning about the restoration process. But you do learn about what it's kind of like to restore a wetland or restore an environment, and there is a focus on this in this game of just conservation and everything, which makes me very happy. Like it's not just a game about collecting frogs, there's also a message, especially with me melting over here because of global warming. I think it's perfect timing. It's wonderful. So there's that. And then with that, there's also decorating your wetlands. There's decorating your refuge. There's a froggy chair. Confirm there is a froggy chair. There's froggy furniture in general. So if you like those little guys, there's froggy everything. And it is available on Steam, on the Xbox Series, and the Nintendo Switch. But if it were up to me, I would recommend playing it through Steam with a mouse.
It's a very clicky game, isn't it?
It's a very clicky game. I was given a key by Armor Games because that's the publisher, so they gave me a key for Steam, but I bought the game on Switch because I love the game so much that I wanted to also buy the game to support developers as well. And I still enjoy it on the Switch, but I definitely enjoy it way more on the PC, personally.
Does the touchscreen work on Switch?
Actually, that's a good point.
You haven't tried?
I realized
I can't believe you haven't tried.
I don't think I tried.
I can't imagine you would go and go, oh, this is a game that seems to work much better when you can just click on the things you want.
Yeah.
And you didn't go, well, let me just try tapping on the things that I want.
I think I did. I think I did, but also I don't remember. Because the most recent times that I've played Kamaeru on the Switch, I had it all the time docked on a TV. So that's why I'm like,
that's fair.
I don't remember. Because I haven't played the Switch handheld in a while. So that's probably why I don't remember. I would guess so, though. I would guess it can be touchscreen, but you're going to primarily be playing it with a controller, which is okay, but it's definitely built better for a mouse. And even when I was talking with the developers, when I met them at PAX East, they were like, yeah, this game is better on a PC. So even they're aware, but they have to, you got to do what you can.
It's hard, I think, when you've got a game that's very like clicky to map that to a controller. Mm-hmm. I did just search and it looks like it doesn't work with the touchscreen on Switch, which is a bit sad. That could have been a really nice way to do it.
Yeah.
I actually think, because Usagi-shima is like a mobile game, so it works really well with that because obviously you just got touchscreen.
Yeah.
I feel like it could work really well on like an iPad or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get the complication with that. It's difficult. Mm-hmm. And I think that, even something like Stardew on with a controller is there's always a few things that you're just like, that's not ideal.
Yeah.
Because it's a difficult thing to do when you design it around mouse and keyboard, and that's how you start off with things, and that makes specific decisions about how the game works.
Yeah, definitely again, definitely built for the mouse and keyboard situation and everything, but yeah, just got to be more marketable. Get it out to more people you can get it out to, the better. And I want more people to see this game anyways. I love this game. Just the conservation aspect, everything is cute, the art style is adorable, the people on the team of the game itself are also wonderful human beings. So like everything through and through about this game is just a wonderfully cozy, brain turning off type of game. And if you love frogs, it's a good game.
So in terms of actual gameplay, you're collecting the frogs. Mm-hmm. How do you collect the frogs? Where do they come from?
So you can collect the frogs by either taking a photo of them or you can feed them. How to get the frogs is by placing furniture either in your refuge or in any of the wetlands that you're restoring. And then also they'll appear in the ponds that you also plant or put down, rather, in the wetlands as well. So they appear in any of those scenarios. And once they appear, you'll see like a little animation pop up if it's new. And you can collect the frogs from there. If you're feeding the frogs to collect them, you'll also have to essentially farm and get the bugs that you need. But what I like is that the game gives you the option to feed it like the bugs that you do have, and then when you see the frog again, if you have those bugs that you weren't able to feed it, then you could feed them again, and then you can collect those frogs. The distinction between taking a photo and collecting the frogs is that if you take a photo, it just gets added to the Frogedex. If you collect it, it not only gets added to the Frogedex, but it also can be used for the breeding of the frogs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the breeding is also another way to collect frogs as well, is that you can try and breed for the different patterns with the frogs as well.
Yeah, so I saw kind of like a bunch of them are just like, it's a green frog with red arms type thing. So do you get that by breeding like a green frog and a red frog? Is that the idea?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that that is ideally how you would do it, but no, in the sense that like the mini games. So this game also has mini games as well. The mini game that you play to do the breeding, it's essentially just tic-tac-toe with the computer, essentially. So if you're lucky, you'll get what you want, but you have to kind of be strategic with your tic-tac-toe and hope for the best.
Okay, fair enough. That's how. So you, when you're doing the breeding, do you like select two of them and then you do this mini game, and if you win, you get something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you choose two of the frogs that you fed, and then that allows you to do the mini game to try and get either a pattern and a color that you want, or just a pattern depending on what you're trying to breed for. You can, if you want like a specific color, you could do two different patterns and do both pink of each frog or something. So there's a lot of different options between the patterns and the colors that are available to you to try and get what you want to fill up your Frogadex with breeding. Like eventually I'll probably end up breeding towards the tail end of completing the Frogadex to try and fill in those gaps. You have a very few specific ones that you've got to get. Yeah. Exactly.
So you're finding it's quicker just to catch them in the wild just now because of that mini game.
Yeah, because it's like RNG essentially with the breeding. Which it's either you love it or you hate it, I guess. Like for me, I don't particularly mind, but I can see someone being like, well, I wish I could be more selective about it. So it depends on your preference. But definitely, I think towards the tail end of completing the Frogadex, it would be best to just do the breeding and try and hope for the best. And you'll probably have enough money to do so. It only costs, I know in the screenshot it says 8 coins. I'm pretty sure that's consistent throughout the entire gameplay loop, that it's always 8 coins, which is not much at all.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. How are you getting coins then? Is that through like tourism by having the wetlands, or like is it just having like, how do you get the money?
That is through the crafting aspect, which is like another mini game in itself. So in each wetland, I won't spoil all the wetlands because it is, I guess, a spoiler technically, and it's kind of part of the story. But in each wetland that you are able to have access to, there are different stations with different NPCs that you interact with and learn about as well in their backstories. But there's different stations where you can cook and craft. Like you can make cups, you can make like jams, berry jams and stuff like that. And then you take those materials that you get and you're able to sell them in the shop back in your refuge to be able to get money to then be able to buy more ponds, buy more plants for your wetlands, and buy furniture, breed, repaint your furniture, etc., etc. So that's another thing too, is that you can change depending, most of the furniture, not all the furniture, but most of the furniture too in the game. You can also repaint to any color that you want, but you have to understand color theory. I mean, I guess you could just mess around with it, but if you, it would go quicker if you knew color theory. If you don't know color theory, you'll get there one way or another.
So instead of just choosing a color, you're having you're essentially adding color, which changes what the color is.
Yeah.
So if I have a red one and I add blue, it goes purple, sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they give you the primary colors to work with, and then you kind of adjust the levels from there, so you can try and get to the color that you're trying to get to. I will say the color palette is still, even though there is like that color theory aspect, I will say the color palette still feels slightly limited. But it mostly gets the job done, and there's still a lot of nice colors.
Now, I need to know, on the Steam page, they've got this frog standing on the top of a froggy slide.
Yeah.
Looking very powerful in his stance. Why is he so confident?
Why is he so confident? Because he's confidently cute. He's confidently cute.
All right, fair enough.
Well, yeah, but like you can when you discover the frogs like in your refuge and your wetlands and everything, they can also be in different poses as well, which is very cute.
Yeah, fair enough. It does seem very similar to Sagashima in terms of like, you've got your furniture and they have specific things that they do with the furniture. And you'll just randomly find that, oh, this one's on this thing now.
Yeah.
Which is very cute. Like the one kind of reaching into wheelbarrow.
Oh, that cute. One, when I saw that one for the first time, I cried a little bit. It's so cute. It's so cute. That's what I think gets me the most. It's just, I think through most of my gameplay, when I was streaming it all, the entire time I was like, it's so cute. These little guys, they're so cute.
How do you find the selection of furniture and poses? Are there enough that you don't feel like it's just repeating very quickly?
I would say the furniture, I haven't unlocked all the furniture actually. I'm currently in the process. So I finished the main game and I'm now currently in the process of trying to get maybe not all of the furniture, but a bunch of the furniture. My priority more so is I want to complete the Frogedex. That's my goal. How will I complete that? I don't know. When will I complete that? I don't know. But with the furniture, from the options that I've seen, it's a pretty decent variety in furniture. So that I don't think is getting old anytime soon. And I like that you can also put down paths. So you can kind of create different spaces within the refuge and within the wetlands with your decorating. As for the frogs, I think I am getting into a point in my Steam game where frogs are definitely starting to repeat themselves, and there is only maybe 5 or so poses that they cycle through, I want to say. There's not too many poses, but like the patterns, because I've been so obsessively collecting the frogs and feeding them and everything, they definitely are starting to repeat. But I don't really mind personally, because I'm just still happy to see all of them because it's so cute. It's just a very cute game to me, and I really love it. So I personally am not really getting tired of it, but I don't know when I complete the Frogedex or when I get all the furniture, what else I can do with the game. I think once that's done, like the game is pretty much like done. There's nothing you can do at this point. Even when you complete the main story, depending on how much of a completionist you are, it might be like a one and done. So much so that like this is another kind of complaint that I have, but it's again also a me thing more than anything, is that the game doesn't allow you to have multiple save files, so it's literally like one and done. Ooh, so nice. That could be an issue. Personally, why I want multiple save files is because I want to be able to have my on stream copy of the game and then my off stream copy of the game, because I like to play this game also in my personal time. But that's why I bought the Steam version, because that's my personal copy, or my second save file, you could say. But it's just the only thing that kind of is like, is the fact that I have to use the controller for that one. So
yeah.
It would be nice to be able to play both versions on PC, or have both 2 save files on the PC rather. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. In terms of the designs of the frog, I've seen obviously like the split colors and stuff like that, and I've seen some with spots. Mm-hmm. Do they have things like the stripy ones and stuff like that? Is it like, because obviously 500, it's pretty easy to get to 500 when you've only got a few designs and a few colors, right?
Yeah,
like just numbers multiply massively, and obviously it is. I mean, they're even just saying the same thing with different colors over and over again is very cute. You don't find any sameness to the designs?
No, not really. There's a pretty, I want to say, between the 500 plus frogs that exist, there is, I think, like 7 or 8, I believe, different patterns that you can come across. Some being the stripe, some being like the pattern on the arm, the spotted one. There are some cute ones that you'll come across, like cute patterns. But there's one one that I very, very much so love, because I love this specific type of pattern for like anything. It is also kind of associated with emoji that I use like all the time for everything. So I personally like the different patterns that they have for the frogs. And I have no issue with it. The only thing that gets kind of awkward is like, for all of the patterns is when you have the same colors, then it just becomes, instead of it being like orange frog with yellow stripes, it becomes orange frog with the same color orange stripes.
Yeah.
So now it's just orange frog. So within each pattern
orange
group,
frogs are technically
7 different patterns technically. So it's like that is where it gets a little bit awkward, but I understand that like that having that option within each pattern group makes it easier for breeding.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So I think that's for like the breeding mechanic.
Yeah, so I guess it's just one of those things where if people's only experience of collecting games is Pokemon, it's not the same thing, because obviously the thing about Pokemon is they're all so very different.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like varieties of the same thing. And those can be quite different kind of preferences, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's that definitely the variety in this game is not there like it is in Pokemon.
Which is fine. There's different things. It's not a problem. I just pointing out to people.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely dying. I was looking through some of the reviews, and one person's review is just, "Am I actually autistic?" I whisper to myself as I listen to the Gummy Bear song on repeat while breeding 512 frogs.
What? Where is this? Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know what? I actually didn't look at the reviews. That is... Oh, I just found it. Oh my god, I just found it. For 10 hours. That's really good. That's honestly low-key how I feel. I wonder how I love this game so much, but then I look at it and I'm like, it's just so cute. It just makes... There's something... I still cannot to this day pinpoint exactly what it is about this game. I think it's definitely a multiple factor aspect of it. But just the overall experience of this game just makes me so happy every time I play it.
Yeah.
And it is so, like, I think one of my favorite things about this game is just how when I'm in the wetlands specifically and collecting the ingredients to be able to craft the things, to be able to sell it. And while simultaneously doing that, grabbing the insects from the ponds, grabbing the different types of frogs, whether it's taking a photo, feeding them, etc., that entire process is so just head empty. That there's something about that I just really, really, really love. Yeah. And there's another thing that I didn't mention as well, which looking at like my screenshots, I probably should mention. So also within each wetland, there is a bioscore that you have to meet, and also a reputation level as well. Overall, which is like the reputation level is like your overall level, and that unlocks as you continue through the game more of the game. And then if I remember correctly, it also unlocks more varieties in frogs as well. But then also the bioscore, the more you increase that, also within that specific wetland allows you to get more different varieties of frogs as well. And the way that you do that, the way that you increase the reputation level is you craft, or one way to do it is you craft the different, like let's say you need 10 cups. You can craft 10 cups for what's called your, like, you also have a fan club in this game, which took me by surprise when I first came across it. I was like, there are fan clubs, but there's fan clubs that are of people that are a fan of your organization, Kamaeru. So you craft like those specific items, and that boosts your reputation as well, level as well, which is kind of like a sort of a different type of currency, which I think is kind of cool. It's just having when I heard that there was a fan club, I was like, this is kind of weird. This is like reminding me of like K-pop idol culture, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that with like frogs and wetlands, considering like what I know about like K-pop idol culture and like fans in K-pop and how terrifying it can get in general. So I'm like, they're just frogs, but like
I don't think I feel like maybe you're a little bit too influenced by K-pop culture.
I definitely am.
Fan clubs have been around for decades, and they're a thing that have existed for so many different things, and it doesn't have to be weird. and it can be weird,
Yeah.
and it has been weird for lots of other things, right? You don't even you can go back, as far as like the Beatles, and like their fans were very weird in
Yeah.
many cases, right? And very obsessive. And that sort of level of obsession that you're talking about is obviously not great for people individually, and also not great societally, I don't think. But I mean, I guess maybe it's the emphasis on fan, right? Like the word fan literally is shortened version of fanatic, right? And that's obviously quite a heavy emphasis on it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's the problem. But like, people are fans of lots of things and don't get weird about it.
Yeah,
And
no,
the idea of there being a fan club for Frog Refuge doesn't sound like a weird thing. I mean, maybe that's just what they call supporters.
Yeah.
Like there are supporters groups for things like that all the time.
Yeah, no, that's definitely if I'm gonna have if I were to be able to what am I trying where am I trying to go with this?
You want to be a fan of a Frog Refuge?
If I'm gonna be a fan of have a fan club for anything, a Frog Refuge is a good place to have one.
I mean, I am a fan of anybody who's trying to improve biodiversity, right? Like,
agreed, exactly.
My sister bought a new house, and I went over there, and her next door neighbor had a wild garden and a sign that said that this is a wild garden, don't complain about it, sort of thing. And I'm like, well, I'm a fan of that person.
Yeah, let's start up the fan club.
I mean, just in general, like I this is one of the things that we've been harping on quite a lot, is that one of the problems with, in particular, farming games is that they are generally pretty capitalist, right?
Yeah.
Like if you take Stardew Valley, what is your aim? Your aim is to make all the money and to build an empire. And yes, it is on the surface an anti-capitalist game, right? Because it's against an evil corporation.
Yeah.
But you take down the evil corporation and then you kind of become it yourself.
See, actually, and this is totally okay by me, I didn't know that was the case. Like I may have maybe like 10 hours, maybe 15 hours at most in Stardew, so I didn't know that that's how the story progresses. And that's actually I don't care, it's fine.
Story.
But
you can either take down or you can join the evil corporation.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But like, yeah, no, I that's actually a very good point that I never thought about before with like farming games in general. It is kind of innately capitalist in a way. And in Stardew especially, like seeing like gameplay here and there of like people playing it later on in the game and whatnot. Yeah, no, I definitely
massive machines of a farm.
It is actually an empire, and I'm like, that is not Kamaeru at all. In a way it is, but it's like the empire, quote unquote, is the refuge. It's not necessarily, it's just having funding to be able to support the refuge and support the biodiversity that these people, the characters in the game, are trying to create. And
yeah, well, that's the thing. They have to deal with money because they have to deal with money. They live in a society that requires money for things.
Yeah, yep.
Like another society I know of, right? So they have to have money because they need to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not ideal, but their purpose is not to get money. Their purpose is to run the Frog Refuge, and they have to get money to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that is another reason, again, why I like this game so much, is that there really is a focus on, again, the biodiversity and the restoration, the conservation aspect, which is so different from what I'm used to with just living in a society, A, and B, coming across the other farming games that I've come across. And that might be why I'm like so, maybe not burned out is the right word to use, because I feel like I haven't played enough farming sims to really say that I'm burnt out, but maybe not necessarily super into a lot of farming sims, or have a hard time getting into a lot of farming sims, because I'm like, I don't want to live in a world where I am still in like a capitalist society, essentially, because I'm already living that right now. That is the life I currently live. So being able to dive into the world of Kamaeru and live in a world that I would like to live in is another reason why liked this game so much, and I did not see this conversation going here. I feel like I'm having an existential crisis right now at my desk. Just being like, so this is my ideal world. I mean, I already kind of knew it, but I'm like, that really makes sense why I like this game so much, and I don't like a lot of other farming sims because I don't want to just live another version of my life that I currently live.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like a therapy session now.
No, I mean this is what this podcast does, right?
Yeah.
Like talks about silly game about frogs, and then
Existential
makes you
crisis
into your deepest, darkest fears about society and your place within it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Like this is like this game is the Kamaeru is the life that I want to live. If I could just drop everything and either have like a homestead or work at like a animal or environmental conservatory, etc., I would, because that is what like primarily that is a driving force for me. That is something I do want to do one day, is like have my own, not necessarily farm, but like have my own space where I can grow plants, take care of plants, as many plants as I want, and take care, whether it's fostering or taking in animals and giving them an environment that is better than the one that they were previously in, because I don't have the opportunity to right now, but I'm trying to work towards in this capitalist society to get enough money to be able to do that.
Yeah. You just got to make lots of money and then go do something with Cody.
Literally, me and Cody got to team up. We both need to make a lot of money and do that.
Yeah.
And then her and I can have our own a coffee shop too, because that's something else I want to do.
Why not?
Why not, right?
Why not? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of coffee, so I wouldn't run a coffee shop.
We'll have tea. We'll have boba. We'll have the boba like that you don't have access to.
I haven't gone back to see if that shop actually is still open or not.
It looks super closed. Really I'm not gonna lie.
But it was early on a Sunday, so I don't know. It's fine. I'm going over to the Isle of Man soon, and if any place has fewer boba places than where I live, it's there.
Wonderful.
Not the most diverse of places, shall we say. All right, cool. Well, do you have any other thoughts on this before we wrap up?
I'm looking at like the screenshots just to like get some additional thoughts, but like, yeah, overall, I guess just final thoughts in general. This is personally like a game that, again, clearly I like very much so, in the sense that I've now realized that I can really relate to it, in the sense that this is my like ideal world, and that's why I like it so much. So it really rings true to me. But even if you don't want to have like your own refuge farm or anything, I do think that this is a nice game to pick up and put down if you want to play it for just like this would be good also as like a mobile game, honestly, to be able to just pick it up for a little bit, put it down for a little bit, pick it up for a little bit, put it down for a little bit. Or if you want to sit for hours and just collect frogs, throw on a podcast. Although I do like the music in this game as well. Some of the music in this game got stuck in my head for quite a while. So for me, the soundtrack is really, really nice. But if you want to like pick up this game and throw on a podcast, throw on this podcast specifically.
Pause this podcast. Go buy the game. Well, it's a bit late to pause it now because we've probably only got a minute left.
Well, in theory, pause this podcast and go buy the game and then come back and listen to this podcast, and we'll repeat it all back for you so you can listen to it all again as you play this wonderful game. But in all seriousness, we don't have
to repeat it, right? They can just rewind.
But what's the fun in that? Let's repeat it all.
No, I want to go to bed.
We've got all the time in the world. Sleep? Who needs sleep?
It's 9:30.
You only need frogs. You only need little guys. That's all you need. You don't need to sleep.
I have little guys. That's the problem. They're tiring. Different kind of little guy.
A different kind of little. It's not the cute little guy.
Oh, I don't know. They're pretty cute.
I was gonna say probably still cute though, but it's not a frog little guy.
Not green.
It's like
not green, and they don't ribbit. They do hop, but they don't ribbit.
Do they stand proudly on top of a slide?
Oh yes, all the time.
That's very cute. But no, like wrapping up this game in general, if you like decorating, I think this is cute. I will say it's a little bit limited. It's no like the variety of furniture is good, but it's like in comparison to other decorating games, it's not as expansive because definitely the focus is on the frogs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if you like collecting, the Frogadex is really cute. The breeding is fine. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's anything outstanding. It's fine. The mini games are fun.
It's nice to have.
Yeah, it's nice to have. It's cute. Overall the game is cute, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's like a game that's going to floor you, because it's a cozy farming sim. I don't know. Is there any cozy farming sim out there that absolutely like floored someone? You would know better than me.
In terms of like, wow, this is amazing. Like,
this is life changing. Like I walked away. I am currently walking away from Spider-Man being like, this is life changing. This has impacted me.
I mean, I would say that Stardew was life changing for me. Like,
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to get deep if I keep talking about that.
I mean, I can see that from what I know about Stardew. Yeah, I can see that. I could definitely see that. I don't think this game would necessarily impact you in the sense of like how Stardew may for some folks, but I think the impact that it does leave with the message of restoration and just taking care of the environment around you, I think in that aspect, this definitely leaves a strong impact on me personally. Mm-hmm. But it's not like story-wise, like absolutely like I'm crying because I'm so happy, well, no, I'm crying because I'm happy. I'm crying because I'm sad or like something like that. It's not that type of game. It's definitely like a very nice game to just sit down and relax to and kind of be in a different world for a little bit. That's not the life that I currently live. So that would be
little guys.
It's got little guys. Is that gonna be the title of this podcast? Just little guys.
Just a little guy.
Because they're all just little guys. All the frogs are just little guys. You can pet the frogs. Also, you can pet the dog. So that's also a fun little feature that I also love. And then you could pet the little guys. Little guys. That's it. Done.
I was seeing if there was any more there before I wrapped up. Well, thank you very much, Aislinn, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I am glad that we got to, like, you and I got to record together. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like we already had, but that's just because I edited the podcast.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Y'all can find me. I always have to think about this. I'm never good at this.
You literally wrote it down.
I did. I'm looking at it now. I did.
I gave you a space to write down and you wrote down. Just read it out.
I'm just so used to just being like, hi, I'm Aislinn, and then calling it a day. But anyways, yes. So you can find me pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere is going to be A's Trainer, AIS, not Ace. A's, it's my play on words. A's Trainer. I have a link tree, but you could find me on Twitch, Instagram, Threads. Those are like three places that I'm most active. YouTube as well. I have a Twitter. I don't like Twitter, but I use it kind of, not really, kind of.
I don't think anyone likes Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, I refuse to call it anything but Twitter, so that's my stance on it. I have a Ko-fi shop. That's a thing. I still got stickers for sale. If y'all want a job well done sticker, I got you. He's also just a little guy. He's not a frog little guy, but he's a little guy.
There's multiple different kinds of little guys.
They're all valid. They're all valid.
All little guys are valid.
All little guys are valid, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much...
So many options for the title.
You can find me just about anywhere.
People can find me on mastodon.scott and on Twitter at thescottbot. You can find the podcast on Tumblr and on Twitter at thspod. You can send us feedback from our website, harvestseason.club, where you can also find links to everything to do with the podcast, including our Patreon, where you can get access to the Slack. You can talk to Aislinn in there when she's actually paying attention to it.
Being in communities is tough for me sometimes. Life is hard. But I'm there. I'm there. I promise I'm there. I'm lurking in the shadows. That's my thing. I just lurk. I'm a big lurker.
Yeah, true. You also get access to our backlog of bonus episodes, including, let me just check what the status will be when this episode comes out. We will have just released... Yes, we will have just released me and Kevin talking about Spider-Man the Animated Series from the 90s. And there's other exciting ones upcoming, but I'm not going to talk about them yet. Spoilers for future normal episodes. I think that's everything. Thank you for joining me again, Aislinn.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Always fun. Thank you, listeners, for listening. And until next time, have a good harvest. The Harvest Season is created by Al McKinley, with support from our patrons, including our pro farmers, Kevin, Stuart, and Elisa. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode.
Was I supposed to say that as well? I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay.
Perfect.